like to begin by just presenting to you the Qasab practice. We're not going to take a lot of time with it, but I thought I would present some of the practices that I'm going to be giving when you get the homework assignment in the afternoon and not in the evening. Especially these two new practices that we're going to do. The main thing about the Qasab practice is it's a very simple form of pranayama that was given by Hazrat Inayat Khan as part of the Sufi lineage of practices. It's intended to give one some mastery around the sense of Jalal and Jamal and Kamal, and particularly, I think, though, to experience the capacity of the breath to become bigger, broader, have more breadth to it, and power and strength in it. You know, because sometimes we have everything going for us except our breath is, the force in our breath is weak. And it's kind of like an arrow. It's aimed properly, but it doesn't have enough strength to reach the target. So this is increasing that kind of strength capacity, and also to understand about there's some explanation of it in Hazrat Inayat Khan's terms in the papers that I gave for people to study over the course of the next month. Many of you, this is a very familiar practice, but we're doing it now in conjunction with this whole course. So I think it's definitely worth giving a few minutes a day to, because it will make a difference in the breathing. So here's the practice. We began with the phrase we're going to use in the practice is Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. That works very nicely in that kind of a rhythm. Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. This practice may strain your capacity a little bit. It's intended to stretch your capacity a little bit. So taking that rhythm on both the inhalation and the exhalation, there's no pause in the breath after you've exhaled, but after you've inhaled, you will hold the breath, you will retain the breath. Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. Exactly twice as long as what you did when you breathed in or breathed out. Now, that won't be too difficult today because we've been working with the breath. But if you do find it that you can always speed up Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. I'm not being facetious. I'm being serious, But stretch your capacity a little bit. Don't be afraid to stretch your capacity. But don't do it to the extent that you are doing some... this retention is not too long. So basically, you exhale right, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. You inhale left, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. You retain the breath, as I said, twice as long. And then you exhale left, the same. Inhale right, the same. And hold the breath again, twice as long. Now that's one cycle of breath. Because now you're going to breathe. Every time you breathe out through the right nostril, you can count. And we're going to do just 5 cycles. So after the 5th cycle, stop and become very much aware of your breath in both nostrils, and see if you can see whether your breath is balanced or what your condition of breath is. Is it more alive, more what? So Any questions about this? We're just going to do this right now.
Could you
Yeah.
just repeat the instructions in another time, one more time?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Beginning, exhale right, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. Then inhale left, the same, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. Retain the breath, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. And then exhale left, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. Again, if that's too much of a strain, repeat the wazif a little faster and establish a, but you want the breath to be in balance that way. That it's like the retention is equal to the inhalation and exhalation. Yeah.
And then do you do 5 rounds with both nostrils?
No, then you just breathe afterwards. You just breathe afterwards, and you breathe through both nostrils, and you become aware of your breath. So let's begin. What did you notice in your breath after you did the practice? Anything in particular?
The
Yeah.
small state of breath and was breathing refined through both nostrils. No thought, just kind of space.
Refined breath through both nostrils, no thought, spacious. What other?
Expanding in the chest, the heart felt starting to go, just felt clear, clean, and like a poo, I could feel poo.
Anyone notice when they started breathing through both nostrils that one nostril was more than the other?
Jamal, right,
Yeah,
Jamal.
yeah. It's very rare that they're truly balanced. They can be, and that's a state which is very meditative. Quite meditative, when they are. Anyway, it's a practice that is recommended for breath development, and it's simple enough to do every day and to notice its effect. Any other comments or questions about it? Okay, yeah.
So as I was going along my right nostril got more and more congested instead of opening. So
As you got along, when you were doing the Qasab or afterwards?
back and forth when I was doing the practice. By the time I was like around the fourth breath, I guess, series, I started to almost feel a panic when I would be breathing in the right side because I couldn't get enough breath on the beats to really feel like there was breath in my body. So I had kind of like a panic over how am I going to get enough breath in the 8 counts if I can get through it. So
Yeah, well, so then that's, that's telling you something about yourself that you need to look at. I mean, in the sense of, okay, are my channels of breath clear? I mean, it could be an allergic thing. It could be a psychological thing. It could be a physical thing. People have blocked septums and whatever. It could be just where your breath is at this moment. You don't want to go into panic mode. Stop if you start to panic, and just release and come back to just a simple fikr and noticing. But I find for myself sometimes. Just doing a bit of the kind of washing in the nostrils is very helpful. I don't say pick your nose, but the smallest obstructions that you remove from there when you're washing has a tremendous influence on what the channel of breath in the right or the left nostril is going to be cleared or not. And sometimes it's as simple as that. And for me, when I notice something really off, like you described, I generally go and kind of check out, if I have some obstruction that I can clear. And sometimes it's just the smallest thing, and all of a sudden you're getting a nice flow of breath. But definitely don't force it if it takes you into that kind of a state, and just kind of go back and look at it and say, okay, is this a chronic condition? In other words, is this the way your physical mechanism is always operating or not? Just look at it, objectively and see, okay, look at, and then if it's just, a response, it could be, like a response to the practice where one is resisting the jalal, for example. I'm not saying that's the case, I'm just saying that it could be something like that. But it's worth going into, and definitely don't force it if one of the nostrils is blocked or almost blocked. Anybody with anything else on this practice?
I don't think I was doing this right. It's Allah Shafi. inhale through the right, and then Allah Kafi, exhale through the right.
No.
I held it, no.
No. It's, you say both of them. You know, it doesn't really matter where you start. We're starting with the right, exhaling the right, but it doesn't matter. Really, you see, you're going to breathe in the left and breathe out the left and breathe in the right and breathe out the right. If it's easier for you to start with an in breath, if you inhale the right, you exhale the right, you inhale the left, you exhale the left. It comes to the same thing. It's alternate nostril breathing. But the timing of it is Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. That's an inhalation. And then the same, both, it's an extended time for people. For most people, it's a little longer than they're used to doing.
So we weren't holding our breath at the end of the...
Not after the exhalation,
Okay.
but after the inhalation, you hold it exactly twice that long.
Okay.
I realize I actually have a question. Do you hold it on every in-breath or just on one of the two?
On both in-breaths. On whether you're inhaling left or inhaling right, you do retain the breath, but you don't retain it, you don't hold the breath after you've exhaled. You immediately inhale.
And then when do you do both nostrils?
Well, at the end.
After 5 breaths.
After 5 breaths, you just sit there for a minute or so and breathe through both nostrils and just notice the condition of your breath and, you know, go with it.
What I've been noticing is sort of like doing exercises on my chest where I'm doing more, because I tend to breathe kind of
Shallow?
and refined. And so I'm really practicing more now, taking long and deep, and it feels like I'm getting physical exercise in my chest. And the more I do it, it's like stretching, the more I want to stretch. So it feels good to breathe.
And this practice in general is an antidote to just the kind of breath that you described, perhaps refined but shallow. But because this practice will help you deepen your breath and make it more powerful in that way.
It's probably good for people with high blood pressure too to do more deep breathing.
There's another incentive.
What she just said, when we went to the Bazaar of India in Berkeley, the lady behind the counter said, as we were buying the herbal blood pressure medication, she said, breathe in one nostril, breathe out the other. Basically the same Qasab.
Yeah, well, it's an ancient Indian practice. That's no surprise. And it's a practice that's done in a lot of different schools. And, because this is where the Sufis and the yogis met, was in the realm of practice. It wasn't in the realm of theology. It was in the realm of practice. They were doing the same practices. They had, the practice were close to them and says, oh yeah, I can learn something from the practice you're doing. And that's what they were doing. That's what happened in India with the relationship between Sufism and yoga practice. Yeah.
Is there a fitness quality, like is I don't know if the lungs are a muscle or muscles around the lungs that diaphragm becomes stronger when you do these, so that you're more able to do them?
I think so, yeah. I think so. I'm not an expert, but that's my experience.
Okay. That's kind of a feel like it's just doing sit-ups or something.
Especially the lower.
What's that?
Stretching the tissues more than anything else to
Yeah.
allow for a fuller breath.
Yeah. Well, there's a doctor speaking, see.
Oh, good.
Now you can be, now you can.
I feel awesome.
Yeah,
You were guessing,
yeah, okay. All right, so I want to give another practice that I just want to look at my notes and see what I had planned to do, which one next. Okay. Let's do this practice. This is a practice in which we are inhaling through the crown center and exhaling through the heart center. So the first thing I want us to do, and then there's a visualization, and we're going to be, as we inhale through the crown center, we're going to be inhaling the sound hu, and as we exhale through the heart, Allah. And I'm just describing it in general terms now, and as we inhale, we are visualizing the descent of the dove into the crown center. The dove, or the pigeon, or the carrier pigeon, is the descent of the Holy Spirit. You know, in the Christian, in the baptism of Jesus, you know, the descent of the dove. The sound of the dove is the sound hu. This is everywhere in in the Hebrew scriptures. The turtle dove, the sound of the dove shall be heard through the land, is the sound hu. And you know, there's a wonderful story about the prophet Abraham, who is you're looking for archetypes of a male who is really easy to connect with, a realized being who you can really easily connect with, because Abraham is the friend of God. He has this status of seeing God in all relationships. It's a tremendous, and he's not only the prophet and the archetype and the bringer of all of the religions of the West and the monotheistic religions. He is also the model of the Murshid, or the one who sees for in each person what's the right truth for them, rather than just gives a kind of codex of what is the template that you should do. You know, that's that. And he has the heart quality that Rumi describes when he said, "Everyone was drawn to me to become my friend, but no one knew what it was that drew them." So it's that power of the heart quality. Now there's a story in the Quran where Abraham is... it's kind of a demonstration or a test, however you want to put it. And God says, okay, train these 4 doves, these 4 carrier pigeons, and put them in the 4 different corners of the earth, and then call them back. So that's that quality of heart. And then the doves come from all of all the distant points of the earth and return to him. And that's that sense of heart that is a part of it. So this sense of the dove is that which returns. It's got that, you know, imagine a bird, you know, is feeling free and happy and blissful, and it's going to return to you. So I mean, it's that kind of loyalty of, you know, there's something about bringing the message and returning it with it, and so there's a lot. I included pretty much a whole paper on the dove just to give you a feeling of it. You can read it, but we associate it with the sound hu, and with the holy breath and the descent of the divine spirit, and and as you are exhaling, there's this teaching in Sufism called Irfan, which has to do with writing the name Allah in light in the different chakras of your body and radiating that light. So what I'm giving in this contemplation is to get into this kind of breath, refined, touching the source, drawing down this current of the spirit of guidance in the breath, the Holy Spirit down through the crown, visualizing this as a descent of a dove. I mean, you can do it in your own way, and then as you breathe out through the heart, you see the light of the heart shining through the Allah. So it's Hu Allah is the breath. And I'll just read what I said here. I'm just giving this concentration as an alternate to do with Ya Ahad, Ya Samad. So every other day, do this one instead of the Ya Ahad, Ya Samad practice. And you inhale hearing the sound Hu and receiving the breath through the crown center, while at the same time visualizing the descent of the dove, the Holy Spirit. Allow this to flow into the heart. Then exhale Allah through the heart, expressing living magnetism, love, generous well-being, beneficial intention. Authentically express the stream of your offering through the heart. Did people have the experience of feeling the crown open and receiving the light through? Yeah. But
Getting into the heart was a bit difficult for me.
well, that's where you use the dove.
Yeah, well, I did use the dove, but it just stopped right.
Oh, yeah. I see. No, the dove flies right down inside. It's the breath. The dove is the breath. It's the breath. So tell that dove to keep flying. And go right on down into the heart.
It's like a nice nesting spot.
Yeah. Well, the heart. Yeah.
The heart's better.
But it's easy to stay in the crown once you find it because it is so blissful to be there. Let's just do that for a moment. Then you remember that all this peace and bliss is to be shared, and that is what allows you to invite this to come all the way down into the heart and to be expressed that way. And Murshid says somewhere in the papers I gave the first month in the Githas on Dhyana meditation that, excuse me, I think I'll just read it. When going to their meditation feeling, God is my teacher. I have something to learn. I will listen attentively. Will be rewarded with the greatest blessing, receiving in the silence and meditation that which they are capable of understanding, and by this gradually their purpose in life will be unfolded. Let's say the invocation. Toward the one, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of Guidance. I want to take a little time to go over some of the lessons that we are studying so I can, emphasize certain things, and it's not just papers to read. And so I'm going to start with and you don't need to read along with me because it really, I'm going to kind of break it up anyway and kind of try and convey what, only if you must, if you have to read along with me, it's fine. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to skip around, but I'm going to try and emphasize certain things that I want to put in front of us right now. And these are from, these first two lessons that I'm reading from are from the Githas on the subject of psychology, and in this instance, psychic power. And this first one is called Development of Power Through the Breath. And I'm going to just read a part of it. The secret is the breath that is purified and developed becomes a stream of nectar. In the first place, breath is life. And when its current is attached to the inner life, the life eternal, it becomes more radiant life, and it gives life to all mortals. The secret is the breath that is purified and developed becomes a stream of nectar. In the first place, breath is life, and when its current is attached to the inner life, the life eternal, it becomes a more radiant life, and it gives life to all mortals. So, we're breathing the all-pervading life in space, that power that is there, all-pervading in space, and then we're also, at the same time, trying to deeply draw from the source of it all, the life eternal, the absolute, ever-living being. And if we can connect our living breath to that reality through our inner sympathy for it and attunement with it and harmony with it in our soul, then we become a vehicle of tremendous power, a life force. It cures illness, because illness is caused by lack of life. It takes away depression, for it is light. When it has arisen, it takes away the clouds of depression. In the East, people seek the presence of a spiritual person, and often among them are such who never speak or teach or argue or discuss. They just are. They just breathe. They just bring their atmosphere. And that's all of us. We all bring our atmosphere. You don't have to look for some role to play, to be, someone who's offering blessings and teachings and opportunity. It comes from this place. There are some who do not even utter a word of blessing, and yet their context gives life to the lifeless, takes away depressions and sorrows, clears away confusion, and heals all maladies, for it is life that they radiate, and those in contact with them are benefited. It is an evident phenomenon that needs no proof. The atmosphere that a spiritual person charges with their magnetism is the testimony of their power. People call it psychic power, and yet psychic power without spirituality is a lame power and a blind power. Psychic power without spirituality is a lame power and a blind power. When the psychic becomes spiritual, or when the spiritual person develops psychic power, they become the fountain of life, continually flowing in this mortal world. So if you're just trying to use the power of mind, through your concentration and will, it's going to be a lame force, just from the standpoint of force, compared to the one whose breath and whose intention and atmosphere is touching the ever-living, the one and only being. So that makes it lame, and it's blind, because if you don't have your ego self out of the way in order to see clearly, you're groping in the dark with your power. You're not necessarily going to be able to accomplish anything that's meaningful. Now I'm going to go on, because he talks about this thing. We don't. The development of different powers is called cities, or cities is what it's called. And it's a two-edged sword, because it's very tempting. The use of power, the development of cities for power is very beautiful and beneficial when it's exercised in a way that is wise. And here's what Hakam says about it. The use of psychic power is allowable to those who have insight into the law of nature. But without this knowledge, the use of psychic power would be most harmful. By psychic power, one can heal oneself and another. One can construct one's own affairs as well as the affairs of others. One can acquire riches and position. Also, one can destroy things. The difficulty is in this question: what is really beneficial? I got all this power, I can do all this stuff, but what am I going to choose that's going to truly be beneficial? For man's fancies in life change at every moment, and what at one moment he thinks good and attainable, at another moment he thinks useless. At one moment she thinks a certain thing profitable, and the same thing, after more reflection, begins to seem disadvantageous. For instance, by psychic power, a person attracts wealth, and perhaps that same wealth may have become harmful to his children. Or one desired a position and occupied it by psychic power and situated himself in a position where there was danger to life. One always sees this by deep study of life, that one gain causes a loss of a certain thing, and one loss brings about a gain of a certain kind. And this is the necessary thing in life. There would not be balance if it weren't so. The first thing that is desirable, or that which is most desirable in life, is wisdom. The next is power. As a foolish person would not be able to make good use of their wealth, so a person with psychic power without wisdom is apt to harm themselves with their own power rather than to do any good. Every atom in this world has its peculiar charm and attraction. I love that. Every atom in this world has its peculiar attraction and charm. And mankind, so attracted by things that seem for the moment attractive, whether power, wealth, position, or a friend, does not necessarily know the outcome of their attainment. The nature of power is to cover the eyes and hide from one's sight the true nature of the things that one wishes to attain. The nature of power is to cover the eyes and hide from one's sight the true nature of the things one wishes to attain. Well, because you're so caught up in that desire to achieve, and to, the power is intoxicating. What is it? Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's given the ordinary condition of nafs. That's true. And so that's why spiritual schools, for the most part, don't begin by teaching techniques to develop powers, because the first thing is to develop character. And you have to have a character that you can trust to use power, you know. So when we get in this realm where you begin to really become more and more aware of the power that is a part of the human being in the breath, in the faculties that we have, then, you know, it becomes important to really reflect on this, so that we can not have a lame power and a blind power, but rather one that is flowing with life eternal. The nature of power is to cover the eyes and hide from one's sight the true nature of the things he wishes to attain. When power leads and wisdom follows, the face of wisdom is veiled, and one stumbles. But when wisdom leads and power follows, then they arrive safely at their destination. When power leads and wisdom follows, the face of wisdom is veiled, and one stumbles. But when wisdom leads and power follows, then they arrive safely at their destination. So I want us to do, let's take a practice to kind of reinforce this teaching. And the practice is, first, let's take the words of a prayer of Hazrat Inayat Khan, use us for the purpose that thy wisdom chooses. And let's see if we can own those words. Use me for the purpose. Use me for the purpose that thy wisdom chooses. So shall we say, but we want, when we say this, we want to know that we're owning this. We want to really be, we're willing to give our power and our will. We want to be able to be in touch with the wisdom. Use me for the purpose that thy wisdom chooses. So let's just breathe, you know, finding our relationship with that, finding the place where we accept that, or if we resist it, why? When we get grounded then in this prayer, or this intention, then we're going to say two names that mean, that are invoking, awakening divine wisdom. Ya Hakam, Ya Hakim. Ya Hakam means the source of all wisdom in that boundless, absolute, silent life. Ya Hakam. And Ya Hakim means the manifestation of healing and discerning wisdom. So it's not only, it's able to discern, to see clearly, and it's able to see what is, from all that's available, what's going to be the healing way of presenting this. Not just the right way, in my mind. So let's do this practice aloud, For 33 repetitions, we'll do these two names, Ya Hakam, with the emphasis on the first syllable. You're not coughing. Ya Hakam, and then Ya Hakim. And when you say Ya Hakam, you feel, in like even through the crown, to feel connected with the source of wisdom, in the silent life, the eternal living, only being. And then when you bring it down, you feel the manifestation in your heart of the emanation of wisdom from the source. Ya Hakam, Ya Hakim, 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 last time. Ya Hakam, Ya Hakim. Now continuing on the breath, as you inhale, connect with the source of all wisdom. As you exhale, bring this forward in manifestation, feeling its discerning and healing power. Just randomly choose a question that's in your life and continue to breathe in this way and see if you receive any guidance on it. And this blow in who into the heart, this way of sealing this intention Any questions or comments on this, or things that are on your mind that you really want to take up right now?
Is that practice part of our work?
No, that's just, it's all part of our work. I didn't assign it, but, it's, we are trying to come into relationship with wisdom and to find it in the breath. And there are so many different ways of doing it. Today I've chosen to work some with the different wazifas in the ways that we work with them, and not so much in the psychological way of trying to heal ourselves, but in the way of just really using that divine perfection to purify the breath and to bring us into a more refined condition to experience the divine qualities, because that's something we'd like to be able to connect with, is the divine perfections. Imagine to being able to find that resource in yourself whenever you needed it. Courage, forgiveness, strength, generosity, boundless wealth, all those things right there for you to access. What I did assign is, again, following in the footsteps of Murshid Sam, to do one of the centering exercises from Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. I picked 5 of them, and to do, but to choose one to do for a few minutes every day for the next month. Now, here are the ones I chose as options. So how about we take a few minutes on each one of these right now, and then if there are questions that come up about what's really being intended here, we can do that. The first one is something we've been doing already in one sense. Whenever in-breath and out-breath fuse, at this instant, touch the energyless, energy-filled center. Whenever in-breath and out-breath fuse, so they fuse twice, but we're not so much just pausing and reflecting on that place, that Kamal place of perfection where the breath turns over, but we want to be able to feel the energy in that emptiness, the boundless energy and power that's right there in that place that's neither up nor down, in that place where in and out have fused, in that space. So whenever in-breath and out-breath fuse, at this instant, touch the energyless, energy-filled center. Any questions on this? I take that as a no. Any success with this? Yeah. Better than some other times? Yeah.
Keep trying.
It's there when you don't try. When you just are. Yeah. Okay, let's take another one. Feel your substance, bones, flesh, blood, saturated with cosmic essence. Feel your substance, bones, flesh, blood, saturated with cosmic essence. Any questions or on this, comments? Yeah?
I have a question, but I noticed just that I can just feel the energy just kind of moving in my body, kind of almost like a throbbing. And then it went away, and there's one spot between my knee and ankle that just kept. So I just kind of put my focus there. It was just very interesting.
Yeah.
It's like air between my molecules.
Air between your
Yeah,
space.
It's like
Yeah.
no body,
No, it is.
Yeah.
yes, and I felt that.
Mhm.
The air, space was moving between my atoms and my being. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, the phrase cosmic essence is undefined enough for you to put your own, intuitive sense into it.
That did come back to my mind.
Yeah. If your mind starts, thinking about it, you just, you're not going to do the practice. That's for, it's okay to reflect on it afterwards, but these are things to just immediately come to intuitively, directly, without a lot of thinking about it. But if you were to define cosmic essence, you could say God. I mean, you could say, you know, I mean, what if all these words are lame? God, essence, you know, that, you know, suchness, the suchness. Who wrote the poem about the suchness of a suchness or something? Was it? I think it was. I'm thinking of the guy that wrote Alice in Wonderland. Lewis Carroll wrote something about a suchness. You know, but you know, suchness, thatness, isness. You know, Kant called it the transcendental unity of perception, of apperception. You know, a lot of words out there, as he said to Hamlet, what are you reading? Words, words, words. But, you know, a word is nothing but a suggestion. Everything, in fact, everything is a pointing finger, a metaphor, a sign. The scriptures are nothing but collections of signs to point you towards essence, you know, which is beyond words, beyond concepts. So, I mean, you got to have some word that points to that which is beyond concepts. And, you know, so poets choose different words in different contexts, and, you know, so that's my intellectual answer to the thing about cosmic essence. But it felt good. You know, it did. You know, it gave you the permission just to take it all in, right into the bones, right into the blood. You know, whatever it is, you know, that you have access to in that realm. Yeah.
If I'm normally somewhat spaced out, maybe I shouldn't choose that.
Well, yeah. Are you normally somewhat special?
Sorry?
Are you somewhat?
I can be, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I can be unfocused. So if I do that, maybe that's not the right one for me.
Well, it's not something to do while you're walking down the street necessarily, or driving your car, or in the middle of where you have to access logical mind, and you have to access, you know, a lot of your ordinary consciousness. But it might be a good practice to do before bed, you know, for example.
But who's to say suchness won't profoundly ground you?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that. You know, I mean, but your fear will keep you from doing it. See, so the important thing is to know where you feel comfortable doing something, and in general practices that are asking us to lose our sense of self. This is really asking you to, you know, enhance it, to feel the, you know, right here, you know, there, in every fleck of dust, a Buddha. That's the Avatamsaka Sutra, you know. Every mote of dust in the you know a Buddha world, you know, you know, it's a cosmic essence, you know, you know, penetrating everywhere. That's the oneness teaching. So it is grounding when you get it. But it, you know, it takes one through the place of emptiness to find the place of groundedness. This is one I've never been able to do. I've tried many, many times to do it. This is what's called a disclosure. But Moinadine, Pierre Moinadine, when Murshid gave these practices to everybody to do, I mean, everybody that came to his class, he said, you know, take one of these and work with it, you know, and just, you know, stick with one or two for a while and see what the effect is. This was the one that Moinadine got his first real deep experience of waking up in, and so I take his word for it. I've tried, but I can get to the first part of it. With intangible breath in center of forehead, as this reaches heart at the moment of sleep, have direction over dreams and over death itself. With intangible breath, well, we're not going to try and go to sleep here. If you could just lie down and go to sleep right now, with intangible breath, I would definitely, turn everything over to you right now. But it's something to reflect on, you read this and you say, whoa, but what do you think that, I know when I've tried to do this practice, I can get very peaceful and very intangible breath, and I can have my awareness here, but somehow or other I've never been able to catch that heart moment of the moment of sleep. Not to say having direction. I have occasionally had those kind of lucid dreams where you have power and will in the dream realm, and also where you are, things that are filled with spiritual power and access to power through that dream space, and been able to do some of this kind of dream manipulation where you are the instinctive thing in dreams is to run away from what scares you, and instead, if you can insert enough consciousness into the dream world, and remember, to always turn towards and not away from that which is frightening, and face it, and if necessary, know that you can call on Allahu Akbar or Murshid or whatever allies that you have, but it's facing it always turns that entity into an ally. And they transform and they become an ally. And this is something that's not surprising to people that do different kinds of inner work. It's hard to access the dream realm in a way in which you retain a sense of will. But there are some good books on the subject if you're so inclined. Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche has a book on dream yoga, which I found interesting. But this is something to consider. You can play around with a few of these and then settle on one. You see. When breath is all out, which is, if you consider the curve of the breath is out, it's up, and the breath is in, it's down. Okay. So when breath is all out, up, and stopped of itself, or all in, down, and stopped, in such universal pause, one small self vanishes. So this is very akin to what we've been doing. It's just another way of coming at it. At that moment when the breath is turning over, you really let that small sense of self, that false self that we hold on to, this idea of self, dissolve. And that is something I'd like for us to just try. At these two turning places, feel the dissolving of self, of the small self that is our creation, our story. And there's just one more that I chose, but if you are, I'm sure you can find one of these you can work with. As breath comes silently in, feel the sound HH. It's that end of Allah. Surprising, this comes up in a Shiva sutra of thousands of years before, or hundreds and hundreds of years before, comes up later. So let's dedicate, for the benefit of all here, whatever's been wholesome in our practice. May all beings benefit from it. May all beings